And the phenotype of an organism is its physical appearance. I'm going to add a little bit more onto that in just a second. Well, what does that mean for you? Okay? What that means for you is somebody says to you, wow, you can roll your tongue, right? Okay? Can any of you make a tongue roll? I cannot. I look like a silly clown every time I try to do it. I cannot do it, and Emma can't do it, but Jordan and my husband can't. Think when you try to roll your tongue like this? I can't do it. Look at it. Like, I'm trying so hard to make it happen. It won't happen. It hurts. It hurts. Okay. So, it is actually a dominant trait to be able to roll your tongue. All right? Dominant trait. All right? Well, what does that dominant trait mean? Well, it means that you have a genetic code that if it's there, it will be present. So that means that Jordan got the gene from my husband because he can roll his tongue. And that means that Emma got the recessive traits and made her not be able to roll her tongue. All right? So how we express genotype is through letters. All right? So we're going to say your genotype for tongue rolling is big R, little r. So you literally just write out letters. And I picked R because you usually pick the letters of whatever characteristic you're going after. So tongue rolling, I picked R. Pea plant color, you might pick C for color. All right? The physical appearance or the phenotype of that is what appears. So your phenotype would be tongue rolling, or non-tongue rolling. I'm going to explain that in that's next. So that would be your physical characteristic. So think about it. Share with your neighbors, you guys. What are some physical characteristics about your face? Share 3.
Freckles, your eyes, my eyelashes, teeth, and my teeth. There. I got it. Yes.
Okay, awesome. I love your conversations, you guys. I heard people say things like freckles, hair color, eye color, shape of lips could be one, shape of nose, shape of your eyes, facial hair, right? Shape of your eyebrows, all be phenotypes. But no matter what the phenotype is, there is a gene that backs up why that appears. So if you have freckles, how many of you have freckles? If you have freckles, there is some gene in your body that says you've got freckles. And we represent that through the letters. Okay? Now, when you're writing out the genotype of something, we use these letters. Letters to represent the genes. We use big letters, capitals. Is it T-O-L for capital? T-O-L or T-A-L for capital?
Excuse me. T-A-L. Oh, well.
A-L?
A-L.
Capital? For a dominant? I think it's O. I think so too. And lowercase? Gentlemen? For a recessive. Think of the word dominant, you guys. Share with your neighbor. What do you think it means to be dominant?
To overpower someone. To be the leader and the one who's the boss.
Okay, I can hear Casey because he's the loudest man ever.
I am. That's me.
Okay, and he said it was like to take over, to be very strong, the one in charge, right? Genghis Khan was dominant over China, right? Because he was like the, I don't know if he was the strongest man, but he was the one in charge, more or less. If you have a dominant gene, it is the one that's going to appear. It is basically what it means is it's stronger. And it is going to appear. So being a dominant gene means you're way stronger than being recessive. Like if someone is recessive, I always think of them as being like quiet and weak and sneaky and annoying. Just kidding, okay? And we represent that through the lowercase letter. So what happens and why I used in our genotype for tongue rolling, big R, little r, is I'm saying if somebody has this genotype, they are going to be able to tongue roll. Because if that dominant trait is present, it will appear. The dominant always takes over. I say it's the strongest one, right? Genghis Khan took over China, right? Because he was the dominant force in power there. You guys are doing China right now, aren't you?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what happens. Recessive means that the dominant will take it over. There are times when you can have just a recessive genotype. So if I was a non-tongue roller, my genotype would be little r, little r. If I was a dominant tongue roller, I could be big R, little r, big R, big R. So what this is saying in big R, little r is saying, mom or dad gave you a dominant trait, mom or dad gave you a recessive. Mom and dad both gave you the dominant trait. Or mom and dad both can't tongue roll and they both gave that to you. Okay?
So capitalized.
One second, I'm going to answer questions. Just Leo, go.
Is it possible for both your parents not be able to tongue roll and you can?
No, absolutely not. And that's because tongue rolling is a one gene trait. So if your parents cannot tongue roll and you can, you're going to have to be having a nice talk tonight.
Oh.
Casey.
Capital R is dominant, right?
Remember, the capitals symbolizes the dominant trait or the dominant gene in this case.
Okay.
Yes, Ethan. Gentlemen? Yeah, we're going to talk about the Punnett squares. Very good. So what happens is, and Ethan's jumping ahead to a little bit what we're going to talk about tomorrow, is we could create by knowing what the genotypes are. So if I know that I'm a non-tongue roller, I know that my genotype is this. I know that my husband can tongue roll. I identified that my husband is this, big R, little r. And the reason is my husband can tongue roll. He's got the big letter, but Emma can't. So if Emma can't, that means Chad, my husband, passed on the recessive trait to her, whereas he passed on the dominant trait to Jordan. And what you could do, it sounds confusing, but we're going to watch it tomorrow. We put it into a square. There's only a 25% chance that Emma could not tongue roll and she got that. 75% chance that our kids would. So, and we're going to figure out what that is, and that's how we guess, is through these Punnett squares and through probability to see, what the chances are that things will happen. Gregor Mendel did it with pea plants, and the reason he used pea plants and he started figuring out these letters, genotype and phenotype, was because they grew so fast. And so he could get his data really, really quickly. Okay? Yes?
Is it possible to have a lowercase r and then an uppercase r?
No. The dominant, good question. Whenever I'm asking you to identify a genotype, if the dominant trait is present, it will always appear first. And it always appears first because it's the one that's going to appear and it's the one that takes over. It's the dominant one. Sort of like with writing, right? I start with the capital, you don't put a middle H in the middle, capital H in the middle of a word. Okay, good question.
It's like we have a 50-50 chance, and if you're ambidextrous, you really.
Well, it's a little bit different.
I
Okay.
understand, but
Right-handed, left-handed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's all based on your genome and phenotype. It's what your parents have passed on to you. I mean, it's in your genetic code.
Left-handed and have their parents.
Sure, absolutely. Did you have a question?
Sort of. No, actually no.
Okay, all right.
What if both your parents can tongue roll but you can't?
That means that both of your parents have this genotype. And you'll see it tomorrow when we do a Punnett square of what that means. I like to give tongue rolling as my example because you only need one gene to identify if you can tongue roll, which is crazy. Whereas your eye color, it's like 150 different combinations of genes that make your eyes the way they are. You can't do a simple Punnett square and figure out if you're gonna have blue eyes or green eyes. But tongue rolling is an easy one to identify. Leo.
What are like double jointed? Is that also
Well, anything your body does is based on the genetic code in your body.
even like your hair
Absolutely.
and like how fast it
Absolutely.
grows?
Absolutely.
And what about like your toes?
Absolutely.
Your toenails too?
Absolutely. There's code for all of it, right? We said those genes, remember those genes are located on those chromosomes. And I keep saying the genes are like one big hour of code. They're just codes and codes of proteins that say you're gonna do this, 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 this. They're busy, man. They're busy making you grow, they're busy with mitosis, they're busy making me diabetic, they're busy making you insulin in your body to make you non-diabetic. So I mean, those codes determine everything for why you are the way you are. Yes,
What about personality?
sure. I'm totally like my dad. I am totally not like my mom. Right? I mean, that's all inherited traits. Some of it's learned behavior too, but some of it is genetic as well. Yes.
What if one of your grandparents could tongue roll, but then your on like your mom's side, and your mom couldn't, and then you could? Would
So
that
if your
be
mom
better?
cannot tongue roll, she is a little r, little r. So your dad would have to be a tongue roll in order to be a roll. It would have nothing to do with your mom.
Okay, but if they could tongue roll, then not necessarily mean they pass it on.
Right.
Oh.
Okay. So far, so good? All right, if you guys are videotaping or audio taping, you guys can go ahead and stop. I just want to go